Hi, this is Dee at Aloha Astro, and today we're looking at a full moon in the mutable water sign of Pisces, September 10th, 2022, and it's occurring at 5:59 in the morning. It will be at 17 degrees 41 minutes of Pisces. So let's take a look at the forecast. Full moon in Pisces, Saturday, September 10th, highlights the importance of seeking and maintaining a balance between the spiritual and material, rest and work, giving and receiving, as the moon joins Neptune in Pisces, opposes the sun in Virgo, and together the sun-moon opposition bisect a kite aspect pattern that also contains a grand trine in the earth element. This supportive planetary geometry in earth and water elements that involves Pluto, the planet of power and transformation in Capricorn, and Uranus, the planet of innovation and change, conjunct the destiny-determining North Node in Taurus, the Sun in Virgo, and the Moon in Neptune in Pisces, can reveal a life-changing new way of both being and doing that enables you to manifest more of what you need and may give you a greater sense of alignment with purpose or a deeper understanding of the meaning of life. The key to unlocking this manifesting and transforming power lies in the realization of the higher and greater power that is within you, which expresses through you, and is also within everyone and everything, all one. Mercury retrograde in Libra opposing Jupiter retrograde in Aries, and Venus in Virgo square to Mars in Gemini, indicate that looking for someone else to complete you will not work, nor will changing out partners or a job necessarily make you happy. But a trine between Mars and Mercury and another trine between Mars and Saturn in Aquarius do suggest that open-minded communication and active listening can stimulate ideas for improving the future potential of the relationship. Quincunx aspects between the Sun and Saturn and Venus and Jupiter will help you to see the old in a new way, or to be you with a new awareness. And I see I've got a little Mercury retro error there that my editing software did not pick up. So let's take a look at what's going on in the sky, and then we'll take a look at what's happening with the Sabian symbol. So you can see we've got a busy sky going on. We have the oppositions mentioned here with the moon and the sun, and there's the moon conjunct Neptune, retrograde in Pisces. And this is the ruling planet for the sign of Pisces, so it's making this moon feel even more Piscean than it normally would be. And Pisces is a flexible, adaptable, mutable water sign that is basically boundaryless. It rules the 12th house, and that's a house of the dream state, meditation, other planes of existence, spirituality, your connection to things like God, your guides and angels. It may be associated with past life as well, and your connection to the collective consciousness of society. So it's kind of like the darkness or the yin energy where we go within in order to manifest or create, and where we become aware of our connection to spiritual forces or the spirituality within us. And it can be a sign that's associated with beauty, healing, and inspiration. So very often art or healing is associated with the Pisces-Neptune energy. And some of its shadow side can be illusion and deception, and its positive side can be the inspiration and the healing. We've got strong support for the moon and Neptune because of this kite, as well as this grand trine. And here we have that grand trine in Earth with Uranus and the North Node, Pluto in Capricorn, and the Sun in Virgo. And we've also got Venus in Virgo right now, and it's making you more aware of the work that may need to be done in terms of self-healing. And the energy here is not overly critical, but it is pragmatic and practical and asserting. So if there are things that you need to work on in yourself to improve, you're able to do that with without condemning yourself for it, basically. And we've got the square here between Mars and Venus, and on the romantic level, that can be a little bit confusing because you may be feeling a general sense of either dissatisfaction or where are we going, but you also have to look at yourself in the relationship as a whole and consider what role you've been playing. And also, are your expectations affecting the relationship? Are they reasonable? It's complicated, and so is a mutable T-square. There's nothing easy about a mutable T-square because it offers so many potentials and options, and it is able to hold on to the image of more than one thing, which can be both a blessing and a curse. So scattering of energy is possible, but also applying the observational skills, tuning into both the logical side with Virgo and the intuitive and spiritual side with Pisces to be able to determine a course of action among the multiple options, which is what Mars in Gemini is presenting. And we are going to be experiencing Mars retrograding as well in the near future. The end of October, it will retrograde in Gemini, and it's going to be in Gemini until I believe it's the middle of April of 2023 when it finally leaves Gemini and enters Cancer. So a little heads up, early warning trailer is that you may be juggling multiple things between now and the spring, or you may be wanting a little more detachment or simply let's be friends energy, or you may be considering dating multiple people, or if this applies to work areas in your life, you might be juggling more than one job or working on multiple projects. It won't always be in a mutable T-square, but it's going to be hanging out in Gemini for quite a while. And it may give you the opportunity to go back to old ideas or plans, revisit them, do them in a new or better way as it goes into its retrograde at the end of October. For now, it may be presenting more than one option or giving that type of feeling that you're not 100% happy where you are at the moment. Maybe the grass is greener on the other side, but is it really the conditions externally, or is it a condition internally? Is it something within you that you can work on to change? And we've got Jupiter also making that opposition here with Mercury retrograde. Mercury is retrograding in Libra, and Libra rules the 7th house of one-on-one relationships as well as marriage, and it's about partnership. So you may be having to work at communication in a relationship, and there may also be things going on internally that you're rethinking or perhaps an avoidance of the communication for some reason. And we've got Pluto well aspected overall. In fact, it looks like it's the one planet that isn't really challenged at this point. It is retrograde, and it is near the tail end of Capricorn, which is a cardinal earth sign. And this is a planet of power, transformation, crisis, upheaval, as well as fear. And since it is so well aspected, the options may present themselves to you, or you may unconsciously attract options to you where stepping into a more powerful role is one of your choices. And if that's so, I would recommend that you do that and see where it takes you. Don't be afraid to do more, be more, have more. If it's going to be instrumental in you achieving worldly or material success. And perhaps from the spiritual perspective as well, the discipline involved in some spiritual practices can be rather extreme. You don't necessarily achieve enlightenment in an instant, although it's possible, but it may take the mindfulness of daily practice of prayer or meditation or whatever you want to do that will help you achieve your goals on a spiritual level. And if it is to have greater self-authority, then you definitely have the support of Pluto in that. And the greater control you have of your inner self, the more you're going to see the results expressed out in the world. So self-discipline may be part of the grand trine in here if it's being applied to a spiritual practice. Sometimes you don't have to be physically running around doing more things. You simply have to be more of a feeling, which is something that this grand trine and kite are indicating. Virgo, the attention to the details, the busyness of doing tasks, and Pisces energy, the mindfulness of being in the energy of something, of imagining that you are already there. So it still takes some attention and discipline to create that change where you have that little click, that little shift, where now you've manifested it, or now you are that energy that you are practicing being. We've got this square that's been lingering for a long time and will continue to between Saturn and Uranus, and I feel like, to interpret it on a personal level, you would have to see where these planets are in your natal chart, and definitely you can see how it's creating a lot of changes in society and the structure of society, and testing things like laws, and people who think they are exceptions to laws or have been getting away with being exceptions to laws, and overturning. There's been overturning of laws, and we just have to see which way the chips are going to fall there, or we can be more active in politics, both locally and in your community, and globally, in terms of making your voice heard and supporting larger companies or organizations or representatives that are going to express what you would like to see in the future. All right, I think that's it for what's going on up in the sky. As you can see, quite busy, a lot of pluses, but what we would sometimes consider as being the minuses, the challenging squares and oppositions, they are, of course, the itch that needs to be scratched, or the pressure being brought to bear that is going to make that grand trine and kite soar and actually produce things in your life, or the desired effect. Definitely look at that which you wish to create and less at what you don't want to be seeing in your life, as a basic law of attraction principle to help you make the most of that grand trine and kite. All right, let's take a look at the Sabian symbols and see what we have going on there. And this is going to be a tongue twister. We'll see if I can get through it without actually messing up, particularly this right here. A master instructing his disciple. And there we have some of the energy of the idea of discipline and discipleship, or paying attention to the mindfulness of practicing something. The transfer of power and knowledge which keeps the original spiritual and creative impulse of the cycle active and undeviated. The Hindu ideal of the sacred relationship between the guru and the chela, disciple, has of late become familiar to a vast number of young and not so young people. The doctrine of the apostolic succession in the Roman Catholic Church has a similar significance. The power and archetypal knowledge released in the beginning of any cycle or at creation must be perpetuated until the very last day, the omega state of which Teilhard de Chardin glowingly speaks. The power is the self of the cyclic manifestation, the unchanging tone, alm of all existences within this cycle. And that is, of course, very Piscean. It can be transmitted from master to disciple at the latter's initiation. It must be so transmitted, for when the line of transmission, in Sanskrit, Guru Ampara, is discontinued, the cyclic process begins to collapse in futility and spiritual darkness. And, the misuse of energy between the Virgo and Pisces polarity would be represented by the futility and spiritual darkness. That would be the shadow of both those signs. This fourth stage symbol gives us a clue to the supreme technique necessary for the continuation of all manifestations of power and spiritual understanding. The transmission is from person to person. It follows a general unchanging pattern, yet it operates in terms of particular and individual circumstances. Key word, investiture. This is interesting to me because I recently was thinking about the childhood rhymes, songs, stories, hand clapping, jump roping that I learned, that was passed to me by children older than me, that was passed to them by children older than them. And I was wondering, do children still do that? Does anybody still know Miss Mary Mac, or, do any of those things anymore, since our culture has changed so significantly because of the internet and the interconnectedness that we all have almost instantaneously through technology. And it's a significant change in society, but it is also the vehicle by which we can connect in other ways that can be significant. We can make friends with people all over the world and exchange ideas and information with people at any point on this globe, and come together and stand as a group because we have a shared interest in a particular thing, like a hobby or a spiritual belief. So it's both good and bad in some ways. And we do live in a world of polarity. And right now, I feel like what we have going on significantly this past month and in the month ahead, we're seeing a lot more of the shadow and the light in the aspect patterns, and becoming aware that there is no all good or all bad, and there is some of each in the other. So this is a very deep Sabian symbol, and perhaps this Sabian symbol being active right now at this full moon in Pisces, if you are seeking a path of study on a spiritual level, or if you are awakening to your own mastery and a call to teach, then, and to share something that you understand on a spiritual level, that you would be playing the role of guru, then, all the more power to you. And don't let that Mercury retrograde hold you back from speaking and from sharing with others. Sometimes the retrograde planets are simply saying, hey, look, pay attention. You've been ignoring me. You haven't been noticing Mercury. You haven't been really paying attention to what you're thinking or saying. So, interesting times, very interesting times. And I do intend with this Pisces full moon that you experience some peace or healing or inspiration, and that you share that same energy with others. Take care and stay safe until we speak at the next lunation in about 2 weeks.